Hello, this is Robert Killen, Director of the Lane Small Business Development Center, and this is your Lane Business Update for Wednesday, June 10th. Today, I'm going to step aside from our typical discussions of PPP and EIDL resources, and instead, given the national focus right now on equity, which is an excellent conversation to be having, I want to discuss our own experience with equity as it relates to businesses and their ability to access resources that are made available to them. Because we've seen a very clear story unfold, both locally and nationally. That's a story of systemic bias, or if you prefer, systemic inequity. And the reason that I want to share this is because there is no downside to fixing it. There's no downside to ensuring that those who are historically underserved are better able to access resources made available to them. If they can do that, everyone wins. So we can only do that if we understand what it is we're looking at. So that's what I want to share with you today. So COVID comes along, and we very quickly realize that we're going to have to shut down businesses or at least slow them down if we're going to slow down the progress of this disease. But we can't do that without providing resources to those businesses or they won't remain viable. So the Fed comes along with their resources, the PPP and the EIDL, which I said I wasn't going to talk about. The state offers up resources, as do your local municipalities. And by and large, these resources are offered up on a first come, first served model. Now, as a kid, I learned very young that if a kid gets across the finish line first, they deserve the medal. We have this inherent belief that a first come, first served model is fair. But let's look at how it actually played out. Because a first come, first served model is essentially a contest. And like any contest, those who are prepared for the contest are more likely to succeed. A boxer who's got training, who's comfortable in the ring, who has had the resources to prepare themselves well, is more likely to win than one who doesn't. It's just that simple. And in the case of application windows, in a first come, first served model, we had boxing matches. We had application windows in the case of a local emergency loan fund that opened up for applications at noon on a Sunday and had to be closed 2 hours later because they'd already received 10 times the amount of applications that they could process. Who does that model benefit? Benefits those who are comfortable in the space, who have trained for it, who have relationships. It benefits those who are already benefiting from the system, who are comfortable in the system, those who have strong banking relationships. They know their lender. They've got a CPA that they go to that they're friends with who can help them on a weekend prepare an application. They know the systems of support because they've been engaging in that for potentially generations. Those who are well served, in general, are well prepared for this type of model. Alternatively, those who are underserved, our rural communities who don't have the same access to robust resources as those in our urban environments. Um, our business owners who do not speak English as a first language. Those communities suffered severely in this. It's almost embarrassing that by the time we were able to get resources, just knowledge resources, information out to non English speaking business owners in their own language, the PPP and EIDL were shutting down that same week because they'd already been oversubscribed. So we have to do a better job, either of figuring out a new way to make those resources available that recognizes this inequity, or we need to do a better job beforehand of getting into those traditionally underserved communities and serving them better so that they are better prepared when these resources are made available. And one thing I want to share with you before we go is this report. It just came out yesterday from Bloomberg. These numbers are from the National Bureau of Economic Research, and this is describing the amount of the change in businesses being open from February to April, obviously filtered by ethnicity. And what you're looking at here, and it's hard to even acknowledge this, but over 40% of Black-owned businesses in February were closed by sometime in April. 40%. Alternatively, if you look at the bottom of this, white-owned businesses, 17% decline in businesses open. This is a huge, huge and telling statement. These statistics clearly describe a systemic inequity in support for our businesses around the country. Our makeup here locally is different than this, but we experienced the same thing, with businesses in traditionally underserved communities less able to access the resources that were being provided. We have to do a better job. As communities, in my organization, just as a people, we have to do a better job ensuring that the term underserved is referring to a smaller and smaller segment. We've got to serve everyone better. We have to serve everyone equitably. And that means that we have to proactively reach out to these communities and ensure that they know and are comfortable with the resources that can help them in times of great crisis. That's what I wanted to share today. If you have any thoughts on this, I'm happy to engage you in conversation in the comments below. Please keep them civil. And until next time, cheers.